college football playoff committee just keeps screwing it up.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. I'm your host, Matt Galatzan, publisher of Texas A&M Aggies on SI. Welcome to Locked On Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one podcast network, sports podcast network. I'm joined today by Harrison Reno. And Harrison, it is a college football playoff reactions Wednesday. We're going to get into our reaction of the latest rankings, what the committee screwed up again. We're going to get into the best path for Texas A&M to win a national championship in terms of their playoff positioning. And then we will get into our picks of the week, which will be very exciting. It's our favorite time of the week to make our way premature picks before we even see an injury report, which is a great way to do it. And spoiler alert, we had a bad week last week with our picks. Harrison and I both had a rough one. But let's start with the college football playoff ranking reactions, Harrison. And right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, the committee just doesn't make too much sense. We got Indiana at number 2, Ohio State at number 1, Texas A&M at number 3, Georgia number 4. I'm actually fine with Texas A&M being number 3 this week, considering what their struggles with South Carolina. That's where it starts to bother me a little bit. Texas Tech being at number 5 ahead of Ole Miss. Oklahoma now being ahead of Notre Dame when Texas's resume for some reason wasn't good enough to be ahead of Notre Dame. Notre Dame just being in the top 12 in general still bothers me because of their record and their resume. I thought Alabama dropped way too far. They're at number 10. BYU somehow still at number 11. Utah at number 12. Miami behind Notre Dame, even though they have the same record, at number 13. Then we got Vanderbilt, USC, Georgia Tech. Texas drops all the way to 17 after getting absolutely dump trucked by Georgia. Michigan at 18, Virginia at 19, Tennessee 20, Illinois 21, Missouri 22. Houston making their inaugural appearance in the playoff rankings at number 23. Tulane as the group of 5 team at 24, and Arizona State at 25. Harrison, where do we start? What is your biggest gripe with these rankings right now?
Biggest gripe. Well, my biggest overall gripe is that we're going to automatically give a bid to the highest ranked G5 conference champion. Yet, when you look at these rankings, Matt, they tell you that they don't look at the highest ranked G5 champion and say they even deserve it. The only reason they're getting in is because they're in the G5. We're just including them, even though we don't think that they're one of the top 12 teams in the country. I don't know why this is in place. If you're not going to rank them high to be deserving to get in, then why the heck are they getting in? I mean, and I know that's not just this year. That's even last year. I'm just looking at it, and it's really a shame that number 24 Tulane, 8-2 Tulane, as of right now, would get the final spot in the damn college football playoffs. Aside from that, Matt, how the hell, and I'm sorry, is BYU even in the top 12? How? They just got boat raced by Texas Tech, who you have as your number 5 team. And all right, minimal gripe there in terms of, I think Ole Miss is a better football team. I think that'd be a hell of a matchup, but I'd take Ole Miss to win. But why do we have 2 Big 12 teams in here after BYU just got boat raced by Texas Tech?
That's a great question.
It doesn't make sense.
That's a fantastic question, and it's one that I don't necessarily have the answer to. The entire Big 12 positioning right now kind of bothers me when you really take a look at what the Big 12's resume is as a conference. Good old Billy Lucci of Texags, tweeted this, and it makes a lot of sense. I hadn't really thought about the Big 12's resume so far, but here's the Big 12 out of or non-conference non-conference slate. Texas Tech played Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, and Oregon State. BYU played Portland State, Stanford, and East Carolina. Utah had UCLA, Cal Poly, and Wyoming. Houston had Stephen F. Austin, Rice, and Oregon State. And Arizona State had Northern Arizona, Texas State, and Mississippi State, who wasn't a bad team at the time. Oh yeah, they lost that game. It's just they don't have any out of conference wins that are relevant. They don't have any sort of strength to build their schedule outside of beating each other. Meaning Texas Tech's best win on their schedule is over BYU, whose best win is over Utah, who hasn't beaten a ranked team. So to slide them above Ole Miss, who has more wins of relevance than any team in the Big 12, almost any team in the top 10, if we're being honest, it bothers me. It really, really does, because Ole Miss should be number 5. Texas Tech, I'm fine with them being in the top 12. Who doesn't deserve to be in the top 12 is BYU, who got absolutely boat raced by Texas Tech a couple weeks ago. And yeah, it was their first loss, but they hadn't really beaten anybody besides that. And then Alabama falls all the way from number 4 to number 10. That's a 6-spot drop for a 2-point loss, 3-point loss to Oklahoma, who was ranked in the top
game.
A one-score game to the number 10, 11, 12 team in the country. I don't remember what Oklahoma was last week, but it was a top 12 team. And you drop 6 spots. But BYU loses by 19 points, and they only drop 4? Make it make sense. It doesn't. And that's what really bothers me. I mean, this is the first time that I've been okay with Texas A&M being number 3 given their struggles with South Carolina. You got to take a hit for that, because it shouldn't have been that close. That was a really bad football team. But you're still in a good position. Notre Dame being 4 spots ahead of Miami. Miami beat them head-to-head. And the new chairman of the CFP, what was his answer when asked how are you comparing Notre Dame in Miami head-to-head? Oh, well, we haven't even gotten there yet, is basically what he said. Why are you not taking that into account? Miami beat them, and they have more ranked win. I mean, Notre Dame has beaten 1 ranked team this year, Harrison. 1. So it really screams to me that the committee isn't taking into account its own, parameters that they set forward earlier before the college football playoff rankings began. And I think it's disingenuous. I mean, Oregon's best win so far is over a now unranked Iowa team on the road. Make it make sense.
It just sounds to me like they're just putting these out for now, and then come Selection Sunday, everything will change. We're going to go 4 straight weeks or whatever with Notre Dame being ranked above Miami. Then Selection Sunday hits, Matt, and then Miami's ranked above Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So what's even the point of doing these? If it doesn't really matter until Selection Sunday, then why would we do it? March Madness doesn't do, 6 weeks of unveiling their top 64 teams. Joe Lunardi does. Whoever else does, but they don't do this for 6 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it is. Like, it's just kind of pointless. If you're not even going to look at these and say, hey, we're not evaluating Notre Dame and Miami head-to-head until Selection Sunday. Because if you were, then with the same record, with the head-to-head win, you'd have Miami ranked over Notre Dame. Now, look, Miami, I'm down on them. Almost out on them. I don't think they are that great of a team. They've underperformed in true Miami fashion. And if they get to the playoffs, will they compete for a championship? I don't know. I think they're a team that's not trending up as they get into November. I think either they're leveling out or starting the descent. Same thing when you look at maybe an Oregon team. I have no reason to believe that Oregon is on the descent, but I certainly don't believe that they're on the ascent. And when I look at these teams, Matt, obviously Georgia looks like a team that's ascending right now. But we'll see on A&M. A&M's been world beaters up until this weekend for the most part. We'll see what that looks like. But yeah, I don't like the automatic bid for the G5. It feels stupid. It feels pointless. If you're not going to rank them as one of the top 12 teams, then what are we doing? Why do they get a spot? They're clawing desperately to make everybody happy, and it's not working. It's really a joke at this point. I mean, it is. And here's the thing, Matt. I almost hate complaining about the current system because this is a heck of a lot better than expanding to 16 or 14. I liked it at 4. I was cool with it. I didn't want it to jump to 12. I don't want it to expand anymore because this is crazy. We're getting like if we expand to 14 or 16, Matt, a 3-loss Texas is the first team out in a 16-team playoffs. So, and then you got a bunch of other three-loss teams behind them. And I get it, Texas played a tough schedule, but man, we want to see the best of the best in December, January. I don't want no 3-loss Illinois playing in a college football playoff game to get boat raced again by Indiana. That's not what I'm here for. And I'm also not here for seeing Tulane get boat raced in round 1 by Texas Tech.
No.
Not to mention, Matt, Tulane and Ole Miss might not even have their same coach this time next season. Like, there's a possibility that Lane Kiffin's not even coaching Ole Miss, apparently, if this ultimatum's to be believed, which, I mean, look, if you're going to tell Coach Kiffin that he can't coach the playoffs because he's taking another job, you're out your damn mind. Out your ever-loving mind if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. This is the problem that I have with the Group of 5 thing. Right now, Notre Dame is ahead of Alabama, which means Alabama is basically a spot off of being knocked out of the playoff. If for some reason they play bad and they decide to get dropped for, having a close one against Auburn in the Iron Bowl, that debate shouldn't even matter. Because now we have to give a participation trophy to the Group of 5, who right now is Tulane, which is ridiculous in its own right because they've played against 2 Power 5 teams this year. They beat a really bad Duke team by 7. Congratulations. And the only legitimately good team they've played all season, Ole Miss. They lost 45-10. And it wasn't that close. I watched every minute of that game. It wasn't that close. It should have been more. Lane Kiffin took his foot off the gas. Oh, and they lost by 22 points to a 5-5 UTSA team. But that's a playoff team, baby. Let's go. Let's not consider any of the other ones. Let's not consider North Texas, who's 9-1. They got beat pretty bad by South Florida, but they crushed UTSA, who beat Tulane. They beat Navy, who beat Memphis. They played Washington State, who took Ole Miss to the brink. They won that game 59-10. So make it make sense.
It should really be an at-large bid. Either if you're not going to rank, if a G5 team is not ranked within the top 15 or something like that, it should become an at-large bid.
It should. But let's take our first break real quick, Harrison. We'll come back to this in just a minute when we talk about the best path to the playoff for the Aggies based on the current ranking structure and the current bracket. And then we'll get into our picks of the week here in a little bit. But let's take a message from our first sponsor. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a bigger shot at a payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so the rankings are the rankings, and we just spent way too long talking about them because we're both pretty heated about it, I would say.
I didn't watch the rankings real last night. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were gonna screw it up because they're not taking their own criteria into account with a lot of these selections. I don't have a problem with the way that the top 10, like the top 10 teams, but they're ordered wrong. And it anyway, we're not going to get back into that because we'll go way over our allotted time for the podcast. But here's the current bracket for the current ranking structure. Tulane versus Texas Tech in round 1, Notre Dame versus Oklahoma, Miami versus Ole Miss, Alabama versus Oregon. That's not terrible, except Tulane shouldn't be in there. But that's not terrible. Texas Tech would boat race Tulane. Oklahoma and Notre Dame's a pretty good matchup. I like that one a lot. I don't have a problem with that. Miami and Ole Miss, that's a good matchup. I don't have a problem with that. Alabama, Oregon, that's a fun one. At Autzen Stadium, Alabama having to go across the country to Autzen, that'd be a really intriguing matchup. I think Alabama would win. I think Ole Miss beats Miami. I think Notre Dame beats Oklahoma just because I don't believe in Oklahoma. I think John Mateer is way overrated. So you're looking at a quarterfinal of Georgia versus Texas Tech, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. And I mean, who do you think beats? Who do you think wins, Oregon or Alabama? I say Alabama.
Probably Alabama. But here's the thing: Alabama doesn't have a run game, and they're essentially on offense what Georgia was last year, except they have receivers, but they're just having to throw the ball 30, 40 times a game.
Yeah. We'll say Alabama wins that football game. So then you get Indiana, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Georgia. The way that this sets up, I would almost prefer if Texas A&M either fell to the number 4 seed somehow, maybe with a loss to Texas, and then a win in the SEC championship, or ascends to number 1. Because I like Texas A&M versus Notre Dame again. I think Texas A&M is a much better team than they were the first time they went to South Bend. And then in that scenario, you know, you probably face Georgia in the semis. I mean, this is going to be a really tough road regardless. So my question to you, Harrison, is do you think that it would be easier for Texas A&M to be number 2 or number 3 or number 1 or number 4? Because facing Alabama would not be easy. Facing Ole Miss would not be easy. I would like Texas A&M very heavily against Indiana.
In terms of first-round buys, I
Yeah,
think your 4 seed is probably the best in terms of you're going to get probably the easiest quarterfinal matchup of the 4. In terms of the best path to the college football playoffs, not including the first-round buys, Matt, I don't know how this happens, but I think you need to be that 10 or 7 seed. I say you get the 7 seed, you're at home, you play the 10 seed, then you go and play Indiana, probably the weakest of the current 4 first-round bye teams. Then you're into the semifinal, and you're going to play the winner of the 3 seed matchup versus Ole Miss. I think that's the easiest path, not including a first-round bye, in my opinion. That would be the easiest path. I think A&M beats Indiana by 2 scores right now.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the easiest path. But in terms of if we're talking about the first-round bye, I think you're going to be the 4 seed. Now, That's just to get you to the semifinals, because then you're playing the damn national championship matchup versus Ohio State in the semifinals, which makes me say maybe you want to be the 2 or 3 seed. But in terms of getting to the semis, you're looking at the 4 seeds probably being your best matchup, favorable matchup.
So this has been a conversation that I've seen for a lot of different SEC teams that are in the hunt for the SEC championship, and that means Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Georgia, and Alabama. Most of them don't even want to make the SEC championship game because that's just an extra game that you got to play. So my I guess my question to the comments, and I'm open either way. I'm not going to judge it one way or the other. I personally believe that Texas A&M should be excited about playing for an SEC championship and having their opportunity to win their first SEC championship. But there's a school of thought out there that, hey, maybe it's better if we lose to Texas. And these aren't my words. This is just stuff that I've seen online. But there's a school of thought out there that maybe we should lose to Texas so that we don't make the SEC championship game. And then we get the 7 seed. And then that way we go on and we face Indiana.
I mean, I saw yesterday, Matt.
Texas Tech.
CBS was talking about, I think it was New Highs that was saying, it's setting up nicely for, say, Georgia in this instance to not have to play in the SEC championship and still get a first round bye. And you're looking at the 5-12 matchup, winner of Ohio State versus the 8 or 9, and you're in the semifinal. So obviously, I don't know. Part of me doesn't think A&M would fall that far in terms of being the 10 or 7 seed with a loss to Texas at the end of the season. But I do feel like I can see certainly the appeal of, hey, we get the SEC championship weekend off, and then we get if we can luck into it, get a first round bye, and it's another, extra week of preparation. But like I said, easiest path, regardless of bye weeks, I think it's the 7-10 seed. That matchup versus Indiana right now.
Well, if Texas A&M loses to Texas, I agree with you. I don't think they'd fall to 7. I think they'd probably fall like more to 6.
5 or 6.
Probably 6, because Ole Miss would move up to 5. Texas Tech would move up to 4. Georgia would move up to 3. More than likely. So, in my opinion, falling to the 6th seed and then potentially playing Miami or Georgia Tech or something like that in round 1, you win that game. Miami would be more difficult than Georgia Tech, in my opinion, but you probably win that game. And then Texas Tech, if Texas Tech wins the Big 12, they probably move up to, number 3 maybe, because you get a conference. Maybe the committee's like they won their conference, they deserve to be ranked higher than Georgia. If Texas Tech finds their way up to number 3, which would be tough, but if they find their way up to number 3, Texas A&M ends up at 6, then you potentially face Georgia Tech, Texas Tech, and then maybe Indiana or Ohio State in the semis.
I'm assuming Miami is going to be the team out of the ACC, because I don't know if they're going to do anything to get that. I don't think they're going to beat Georgia next week. They're terrible on run defense. They've had a few squeakers. I know that game's been close the last 2 years. I think they're going to lose that game. And I don't know if they're going to win the ACC. I'm not confident in their defense to win the ACC, which means they could take 2 more losses, and then boom, Miami says, "Hey, we didn't have to play for a conference championship. Hey, and now we're in at the 11 seed."
Well, here's my question about the whole ACC thing. Don't they take the 5 highest ranked conference champions?
They do.
So then, if Miami's not a conference champion, because it's going to be really hard for them to get there.
It is, but I guess Miami's hoping, in terms of the ACC, Miami needs, I don't know. I mean, if I mean, right now, playing the ACC championship, if this is correct, it's Georgia Tech versus Virginia. And if Georgia Tech loses to Georgia and then beats Virginia, is Georgia Tech in free at that point? Is that how this works?
So for Miami to make it to the ACC championship, Duke has to lose to North Carolina, Pitt has to beat Georgia Tech, and SMU has to lose to Louisville, I think.
Heck, with
Yes.
the way ACC's been this year, that's not out of reach. That doesn't feel that far-fetched.
You need help. You need help from Pittsburgh. You need help from North Carolina. You need help from Louisville or Cal, but Louisville's the more likely. And then you find yourself in second in the ACC. If SMU beats Louisville, then you would have to hope that Virginia Tech beats Virginia. But that's a lot that has to fall your way. So it's probably going to end up being Virginia more than likely as the number 11 seed in the conference champion, which would make that 6th spot even easier.
I don't even know if they have their quarterback back.
Chandler Morris, yeah, he played last week.
Okay.
He played this past weekend. Anyway, it's interesting to think about what the best path. Let us know in the comments what you think you want Texas A&M to do. Do you even want them to make it to Atlanta? Do you want that bye week? And then, the bye week on the SEC championship, and then you get into the first round, or would you rather have the first round bye? I'm of the opinion that you want the first round bye and you want to win the SEC championship, because that would be a historic thing for Texas A&M, and I don't think that should be taken lightly. Anyway, let's change gears. We'll talk more about this next week, but let's change gears, and we're going to make our picks of the week real quick before we get out of here, and kind of update you on where we're sitting there. So stick with us after this break, and we'll be right back. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you for making Locked On Aggies your first listen today, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. It's time, Harrison. It's time to answer the bell. We had a really, really bad week last week in our picks. I went 0-6. 0-6. Harrison went 1-5. We had all the same picks on our first 5, and then Harrison decided to change it up on me at the last minute and pick probably the smart pick in BYU over TCU.
Hooverville gotcha.
Yeah, we both picked Pittsburgh over to cover against Notre Dame. We both picked Bama to cover against Oklahoma. We both picked USC to cover against Iowa. We both picked Texas to cover against Georgia. We both picked Texas A&M to cover against South Carolina. In terms of who we thought was going to win those games, we were more like 4-2. But against the spread, we had a really rough shot. And that's okay. That happens. We're working our way through it. But as it stands right now, I am 29-37. I have fallen way behind Harrison. And Harrison is now 32-34. So I'm 3 games back of Harrison now. I had the lead for most of the season. But here we are.
Scratching and clawing. I'm trying to ascend in November. Matt's on the decline.
Yeah, I'm you're Georgia in November, and I'm Jimbo Fisher Aggies in November. I would rather be Mike Elko Aggies in November. But here we go. Our first game is Oklahoma -7.5 hosting the Missouri Tigers. Missouri just doesn't seem like the same team right now. Matt Zollers is doing his best, but there's just not a lot there. They do have a really good defense, and I still don't believe in John Mateer. But let's I don't know, man. Missouri, their last couple weeks. I mean, they got a big win over Mississippi State. They got trounced by Texas A&M. I'm going to err on the side of caution, and I'm going to say that they control John Mateer just like the rest of the SEC has controlled John Mateer, and they are going to cover this one. But Oklahoma is probably going to win.
I'm taking Oklahoma to cover 7.5. After what I saw A&M in Missouri, I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. I can't believe this man Mateer only has 8 touchdowns on the year. Holy
Yeah,
moly! And I know he missed games.
he
8
missed one.
passing touchdowns.
He missed one game.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Whew.
Okay, Oregon -9.5 hosting USC. USC has looked pretty good as of late. They beat Iowa this past weekend. They're on a 3-game win streak. Their only losses are a 2-point loss to Illinois and a 10-point loss to Notre Dame. Oregon has not played as well. They had a rough one against Iowa themselves, but they were able to also come away with the win. And they beat the crap out of Minnesota this past weekend because Minnesota's not a very good football team. 9.5 seems like a lot in this game, so I'm going to take USC to cover that one. I think USC's got a good shot here.
Yeah, 9.5 is a little bit too rich for me. I'm gonna take USC to cover as well, but I have Oregon winning this one.
All right. Texas -8.5 hosting Arkansas.
You just couldn't help yourself, could you?
Well, there's not a lot of good games this weekend, man.
It
There's
is.
just
It is
not.
that time of the week in the SEC. I know.
So Texas got absolutely dump trucked by Georgia. A lot of people say, "Oh, it was a 4-point game heading into the fourth quarter." That game was never close. That game was never in doubt for Georgia. Kirby Smart was just like, "All right, let's put it away in the fourth quarter," and that's exactly what they did. And I think Texas is going to win this game. I really do. They're a lot better at home than they are on the road, but I have a hard time seeing them cover 8.5 against anybody right now. So I'm going to take Arkansas to cover.
I hate this line. If this was like 6.5, I'd hammer Texas. 8.5 makes me want to lean Arkansas. It's a rivalry game. Bobby Petrino said whatever Bobby Petrino said this week. Screw it. Give me Texas to cover 8.5. I'm going to regret that pick. They're probably going to be covering this for 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter is going to come, and it's going to be like 6-point win, like it was versus Vanderbilt or wherever it was.
Well, if Arkansas can score 42 against Texas A&M, I think that they can probably do the same against Texas. So I think this is just going to be a high-scoring, high-flying thing, and it's going to be close. But Arch Manning has been playing really, really good football the last few weeks, so I think he's gonna be the difference. Cincinnati +2.5 hosting BYU. I really hope Cincinnati wins this game. So just on my heart alone, I'm going to take Cincinnati to cover and win.
Give me the Bearcats +2.5. I'm not going to say they're going to upset them, but I'm essentially taking them to upset. Yeah, give me the Bearcats. Beat BY fraud.
Houston -1.5 hosting the TCU Horned Frogs.
Yeesh.
I thought TCU was going to beat BYU this past weekend, and they got absolutely slaughtered. I'm taking Houston this one. I like Willie Fritz. I think they're doing a good job down there. They're in the college football playoff rankings at number 23. I think they're going to continue the momentum. I got Houston.
Yeah, give me the Cougs. I'm not a believer in Hooverville. Hooverville, went to wherever weeks ago. Give me Houston to win this game. Anytime you get a running back with a number in the 30 or 40s, always take it. I'm taking Connors to win this game.
Dean Connors and Connor Wegman, the two Connors. I like it. Former Aggie Connor Wegman. Final
Hey man,
pick.
that segment from the summer about A&M being transfer quarterback U with all these quarterbacks being everywhere, starting
It's
Forgot about that segment
wild.
until we start talking about it.
Yeah, Haynes King, Zach Calzada, Max Johnson's at UNC. He started a couple games. Connor
Hey, don't
Wegman.
forget, it's Zach G'd up Calzada, the money spread Calzada.
Yeah. Oh, let's not forget Eli Stowers,
Eli
another former Texas A&M
Stowers.
quarterback, is the best tight end in the country for Vanderbilt. Well, former Texas A&M quarterback Haynes King and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets -2.5 versus Pittsburgh. This game is in Atlanta. Give me Georgia Tech. I'm never picking Narduzzi's team ever again for anything after the comments that he made before Notre Dame. I wish he had made those comments before I made that pick, but alas, I'm taking Georgia Tech.
Pitt can tackle like Aaron Donald tackled McAfee off the game day set, I'd take Pitt in a heartbeat here. But Texas Tech or Georgia Tech has a big game next weekend, and I think they're going to take care of business to make next week even more interesting. Give me the All Jacks to cover -2.5. Haynes King, laser show, and by laser show, I just mean he's about to get hit over and over and over again because that's how that guy plays.
All right, so that'll wrap it up. I am picking Missouri to cover against Oklahoma. Harrison is picking Oklahoma. We're both picking USC to cover 9.5 against Oregon. I am picking Arkansas versus Texas to cover 8.5. You were picking the Longhorns. We're both picking Cincinnati to cover versus BYU. We're both picking Houston to cover versus TCU. And we are both picking Georgia Tech to cover versus Pitt, which means we only have 2 different picks this week, which means I do not have a chance to catch you before we head into the final regular season week, which means I've only got 2 weeks left to win this thing. So,
hey, you still got bowl season if we're doing this in bowl season.
Yeah, we'll figure out a way to do that. But in terms of the regular season, I am up against a wall right now, and it's not looking good. But that's going to do it for another episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you so much for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. For your next listen, please check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our podcast, download our podcast. We're on every major podcast platform. Follow me on X at Matt Galatzan. Follow Harrison on X at Harrison Reno. Follow Texas A&M Aggies on SI for all the latest breaking Texas A&M news. And we'll see you next time. It's too bad Vandy's not in the field, Harrison. I know you really wanted that to happen.
I was really hoping we get Pick'em today.